Good morning, everybody. Today is Thursday, December 11th. We are looking at multiple winter weather advisories and blizzard warnings and even winter storm warnings and winter storm watches across many areas across the northern U.S., all the way down into the Midwest and Northeast with some winter storm warnings for you guys also. We are seeing some snow already in areas in Montana. This is a clipper system we expect to move down late tonight into early tomorrow morning, causing major snow, possibly a few inches for over the southern Ohio, central Indiana, and Illinois areas, and also in South North Dakota, Iowa. All these areas are supposed to move down, cause major snow for them, even major snow for areas in West Virginia, as we do have a blizzard warning active right now, with possibly blizzard-like conditions, with the wind gusting so strong, with blizzard-like conditions possible for areas in West Virginia. And then we have a winter storm watch here for Montana, and we have a long line of winter storm advisories. This purple right here is all winter storm advisories. A long path from North South Dakota all the way down into areas in Kentucky. Even Tennessee is in some winter weather advisories. So we're going to have two storm systems drop down with some snow, bring a few inches of snow each time, with the first one being late tonight into early tomorrow morning with this first clipper system, and then we are expecting a large Arctic air blast to drop down into the U.S., bringing very, very below average temperatures for much of the Northeast and the Ohio Valley Midwest areas, which will also bring more snow possibly, with some models showing up to 5+ inches in areas like Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio areas possibly on one model. We'll have to see how that plays out, but I'll be breaking that all down in this video. Let's get started now. Here is our 500 millibar height wind, basically showing our jet stream. We can see that we do have a low pressure system that is right here in the Great Lakes that has caused some lake effect snow, rain, and sleet for these areas, and very cold temperatures from this lake effect snow event in this low. Then if we go ahead in time, we can see that other systems start to drop down. On the 12th, 13th, for little clipper system drop down right here. That brings a few inches of snow. That's late tonight into early tomorrow morning. And we see around the 13th to 14th, that's when we are expecting that major Arctic air blast to drop down. We can see that low, if it shows red, that is very, very strong wind. We could get very strong wind. We could even, if there's snow on the ground, we could even get blizzard-like conditions just because of how strong the winds are, and it could blow the snow up and have blizzard-like conditions from just that. Let me see if we go even more ahead. Let's just look at the wind on that real quick. That's about 80 knots. That's 100 knots plus of wind in the upper atmosphere, in the middle of the atmosphere. That's a very, very strong wind. We actually get pushed down into areas even like North Carolina and South Carolina. And even some of Florida could get these very, very cold temperatures from this. I'll look at the temperature anomalies in just a moment after looking at the snowfall totals. But we can definitely see that, Justin, you can see that bluish colors in areas in Florida. That is also from that polar jet disturbance, that Arctic air blast that we're expecting. We start to see a ridge start to dominate much of the U.S., the lower central areas in the U.S. You can see that little circle right there. That is a high pressure system that is going to dominate the U.S. for a few days. You can see how the jet stream is all up here. That is because this high is pushing it up. It may cause some colder temperatures and snow temporarily for areas in the northeast, most likely in the far northern U.S., but it will leave most of the U.S. with a heat wave, which for people that don't like snow like myself, that's a good thing. But if we go even more high time after that high pressure goes out, we have to see this is way too far out to know for sure. This is take this with a grain of salt. This is about 7 days out, showing a very active jet stream right before Christmas. So this would be a great sign for if we want Christmas snow. Not to go into the models do show Christmas, but I'm just not going to go that far out. It's just not accurate that far out. But that would be pretty nice to get some snow on Christmas. So it's definitely a possibility on this model, what this model is showing. Let's go look at our precipitation type and rate, and then I will check out our snowfall total and our temperature anomalies on the Canadian model, the European model, and the GFS model. Here are the precipitation type and rate, basically showing our high pressures, our low pressures, and our rain and snow. Blue being snow, pink being sleet, and green being rain. We see that low develop, that's around 11th right now, so that's today. We see it drop down, that's our clipper system. That's expected to drop down and bring a few inches of snow for areas in the Midwest and northern U.S. They'll drop down into central, southern Ohio area, and then down into West Virginia where they do have blizzard warnings. Not for this exact system, just because of the strong winds from the low pressure system that's already up here. But as this moves down, we look right behind it, we start to see another low start to develop. That is from a Arctic air blast. That is going to blast the U.S. with very, very cold temperatures, possibly 40 to 60 below average for this time of year. That's expected to bring 1 to 5 inches across the northern U.S. and Midwest, possibly, from that Arctic air blast. And we start to see that high pressure system start to dominate much of the central U.S. areas. That is going to basically stop our jet stream from trying to have any snow or anything. But it is more south, so we still do see some snow in the far northern areas of the U.S. The high pressure system isn't dominating those areas yet. But then if we go even more ahead in time to around the 8th, like I said, the 18th, sorry, is when the high pressure system is no longer dominating and we start to see that our jet stream get more active and we start to see more rain and snow for the northern U.S. and Midwest areas and even some more snow for these areas in the Midwest. That's the 20th. That's way, way too far to know for. Let's take a peek at Christmas though. This is a peek at what we're looking at for Christmas. Just know guys that I'm not gonna like go into this much. Don't believe in this at all. This is just a little hint of what is a possibility. It's 100% not gonna happen. But it is. You can see it actually has a feeling of a very strong storm across much of the U.S. with rain, sleet, and snow. So I'm gonna go into that. I just don't wanna fear monger or anything like that. But it's too far out to know for sure. Even to the 18th is as far as I'd go. I'd actually be decently trusted in. But let's go look at our temperature anomalies and then our snowfall totals, and then I will check out other models like the Canadian and Euro. Here is our temperature anomalies, showing that low pressure system that is already in the Great Lakes that is bringing very cold temperatures for these areas. It's expected to move out about tonight, late tonight into early tomorrow morning. And we start to see that other very cold temperatures start to drop down. The purple and bluish color, that is below average temperatures for this time of year based off climatology. So that starts to drop down around the 13th. We also get some of that snow. And then we see if we go even more ahead in time, around the 14th, we start to see those pinks start to pop up. 20 degrees Celsius. I did the conversion. That's about 66 degrees in Fahrenheit below average. So very, very cold temperatures expected below average temperatures. Then we see that high start to dominate with very above average temperatures for this time of year. We're looking at we're gonna be looking at the 60s in some areas in the Midwest, possibly even more down into areas like areas in Texas and those areas. And then we start to see around the 19th that even the high starts to die out a little bit. 20th to 19th start to die out more. So that warmer temperatures because that has not another low has not dropped down far enough yet. But that will change as we go into Christmas. But I'm not gonna go farther out than that because I don't want to, fear monger like I said. Let's look at our potential snowfall totals for 24 hours. Here are the 24-hour snowfall totals. We can see on the 12th, which is tomorrow. See that pass of snow possibly on the 12th. A few inches possible, 1 to 5 across areas in Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, and even southern and central Ohio could get 1 to 2 inches. Northern Kentucky could get 1 to 4 inches. Areas in West Virginia could get 1 to 3. And we start to see that other Arctic air blast start to dive down was up to 9 inches plus, about a foot possibly actually in areas of Montana, isolated areas with a foot possible in Montana. And there's that long line of 1 to 5 inches from South Dakota, northern Nebraska, central Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, 3 up to 4, 3 to 4 inches in these areas. And that does move into the areas in West Virginia, and we're looking at possibly up to 9 inches on the GFS model for areas in West Virginia. Very, very cold temperatures and very snowy. So definitely be aware around the 13th to 14th. So this upcoming weekend, that's Thursday. So that's Friday into, that is Saturday into Monday. When that snow is expected. Saturday into Monday. So definitely be aware, don't drive on slick roads either today or Saturday into Monday. This entire weekend, just don't. If you can avoid driving on slick roads that are snowy and icy, definitely do it. If you need to drive on the road, but definitely drive very slowly and safe. Keep your tap water on, all that stuff. Make sure you guys are warm. But let's go look at our other models, and then I will be ending this video. Here's the 850 millibar temperature down on the European model, the Euro model, for short. Basically shows the exact same thing as the GFS. Not much of a difference here. Not much to talk about over here on this model. I'm not even going to show the temperature anomalies on the Canadian model just because it's just not worth it. There's nothing. It shows they're basically agreeing. They are agreeing on the exact same outcome, which is a good sign. Makes the forecast a lot more reliable and easier. Let's go look at our snowfall totals on the European model, though. Here are the 24-hour snowfall totals on the European model. Showing the exact same thing as the GFS with 1 to 3 inches across areas in South Dakota, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, and southern Ohio, and even 1 to 3 to 4 in areas of northern Kentucky. So you see the other sim start to develop with a foot to 14 inches across Montana areas on the border of Canada. And then South Dakota, we could get 1 to 5 to 6 inches, 1 to 4 across South Dakota, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. Possibly getting up to 4 to 5 inches in areas in Ohio, and even possibly 1 to 7 inches in areas in West Virginia. So a lot of snow and very, very cold temperatures expected from this system. And before we get a heat blast, a warm up temporarily, heat wave temporary heat wave, which is a good thing for me. But I'm in Ohio, and I've been having a lot of snow and cold temperatures. I think I've had about a total of 10, maybe 8 to 9 inches possibly total so far. Been very snowy for the northeast, midwest, and northern U.S. so far this year. A lot of snow and cold temperatures. Luckily, we'll be having a little break though from that soon. Besides the northeast will still be getting below average temperatures for the northeast. But let's go look at our Canadian weather model. Here's our Canadian weather model. Showing the exact same thing, but does not show any snow for areas in Ohio besides snow flurries around the 12th, so late tonight into early tomorrow morning. But it does show that same path with, actually shows a little bit of less snow, shows that more of a narrow path of that snow, with up to a foot in areas in Montana, but only in northern Montana, and 1 to 3 inches across much of central South Dakota and southern North Dakota, southwest North Dakota. And also, you're looking at 1 to 2, 1 to 3 in areas in Iowa, 1 to 5 in central Illinois and Indiana and Ohio, with 1 to 6 inches isolated in central and southern Ohio, and still 1 to 7 in areas in West Carolina. Virginia could also get a few inches of snow, 1 to 3 possibly in far eastern Virginia. But that's all for the models. Let's go check out our, I just want to show you guys something real quick. It is our Climate Prediction Center outlook showing our below average and above average temperatures expected for the next 6 to 10 days, 8 to 14 days, and our 3 to 4 week temperature outlook. Same as our precipitation. I'll be showing that also. Let's go look at that. Here's our 6 to 10 day temperature outlooks. We can see that above average areas, that's where that high pressure system will develop in areas in the New Mexico and Colorado areas with that above average temperature, with that high pressure system will eventually go right here and then move up here. But we see that near normal temperatures across much of the northern Midwest areas. In the far northeast has below average temperatures a little bit. But if we go to our 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook, or 8 to 14 day temperature outlook, and then I'll look at the precipitation outlook. But here's our 8 to 14 day temperature outlook, with above average temperatures for much of the Midwest Ohio Valley areas. The far northern U.S. has below average temperatures, and the far northern northeast has below average temperatures. And areas like northern Michigan, central Michigan have near normal. Same with Wisconsin, Minnesota areas, near normal to below average temperatures possibly. And then we go look at our precipitation for the 6 to 10 day outlook. That is mainly based off that snow that we had, that we're expecting to have, and that rain that we already had for these areas, these little snow events. Then we have that very high above average temperatures, above average precipitation. That is from a atmospheric river event that is impacting the far northwest coast areas, with a lot of precipitation from that, a lot of flooding. Definitely be weather aware if you're in that area. Let's go look at our 8 to 14 day precip. Here's our 8 to 14 day precip. Still shows that above average area. That is still from the atmospheric river event. We're expecting to actually have 2 of them. And we have still above average precipitation for areas in the Midwest with rain and snow. Little snow event coming down and still impacting these areas. In the southern U.S., all of southern U.S. is below average temperatures. Below average precipitation, sorry. Except for southern Florida and central Florida could have near normal to a little bit above average. Let's go to our 3 to 4 week temperature outlook, possibly issued by the Climate Protection Center. This is a site owned by NOAA, so this is the Climate Protection Center, so it's definitely starts to be watching. We're looking at near normal temperatures, equal chances for above average and below average for much of Ohio, from the northern Ohio Valley and the Midwest areas. The northern Midwest and northern U.S. areas could get very below average temperatures, with the South having very above average temperatures, which is sad for you that want a cold and wintry Christmas, but not looking like it for the South or central U.S. as of now. Too far out to know that definitely these things could definitely change, but here's our 3 to 4 week precipitation outlook. Very above average temperatures for much of the northern U.S., the Midwest, and Ohio Valley. So we could definitely get snow around Christmas. We could get a very white, snowy Christmas, possibly. Very cold and white, snowy Christmas. Equal chances for the central U.S. And below average for areas in western Texas and in areas in New Mexico and in areas in Florida. So we'll have to see how this plays out. This definitely could change. This is 3 to 4 weeks out. Even the Climate Protection Center and NOAA cannot predict that far out accurately. Nobody can predict that far out accurately. It's just a grain of salt. Take this a grain of salt. Just a little bit of what the far long range models are pointing at right now, and what the atmosphere is pointing at could possibly happen. But that's going to be all for this forecast video. Thank you all so much for watching, and make sure you guys like and subscribe for more forecasts.